Toxic masculinity.
Dr. Seuss canceled for racism.
Yes, Dr. Seuss canceled for racism. Okay, so let's see here. I'll just read some of this. A national educators organization is telling schools to avoid reading Dr. Seuss because the children's books allegedly have racial undertones. Dun dun dun. For more than 20 years, March 2nd has been recognized as Read Across America Day in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday. The Reading Recognition Day was founded by the National Education Association, the nation's largest labor union, in 1998. This year's theme is "quote unquote" create and celebrate diversity. Of course, it is. Learning for Justice, a left-wing educators group, is demanding that Dr. Seuss be canceled. A prominent Virginia school district has taken marching orders and ordered its school to avoid, quote, connecting Read Across America Day with Dr. Seuss, despite the fact that it was, of course, created for Dr. Seuss's birthday. Loudoun County Public Schools, one of the nation's most affluent school districts, so a bunch of rich people basically, announced that it will no longer recognize Dr. Seuss on his birthday. In an announcement obtained by the Daily Wire, the school district said that Dr. Seuss's children's books contain racial undertones that are not suitable for current cultural responsive learning. And here's here's probably the most sort of what you might call culturally insensitive images from Dr. Seuss's books. It's these are Japanese people. This is during World War II when people were a bit concerned that I don't even think this is from a book. I think this is from like a newspaper or something like that. So I don't think any of his books actually have any kind of racial stuff like this in them. Maybe they do, and I'm wrong. But anyway, there's a lot of people saying he's racist. But the funny thing about Dr. Seuss is he was like a massive leftist. He was a total Democrat, and he was very much like a civil rights guy. He was very much like an anti-racist.
You are racist for being anti-racist.
Huh?
You are racist for being anti...
These people just don't understand anything about the world. They're just like, if anybody's done anything that I find mildly offensive in the world, that person has to be canceled. And it's like, get real. They have no sense of reality. So anyway, they're trying to cancel Dr. Seuss. It's ridiculous. Here's the thing. I don't love Dr. Seuss. I've never liked his books when I was a little kid.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who it is. When I was a kid, I was reading Dr. Seuss books going, this is stupid. Like, even as a child. Because I learned to read really young. My mom made me learn to read when I was very, very young. So Dr. Seuss was always a little bit too infantile for me, even when I was, like, learning to read. I remember that book about the turtles.
Hold on.
I do apologize for the sirens, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody stole Madonna's dogs, I think. So they're mental. It's probably some Trump supporters. But anyway, so there was this Yertle the Turtle, I think it was, and he was like king of the turtles or something like that, but he wanted to see further and further out. So he would get the turtles to sort of stack up in a big tower, and he would climb up on top of all the other turtles, and then he could see the higher up he could get, the further out he could see. And I think that's right. Is that right, guys? And I remember as a kid thinking, because eventually it got so high that it all toppled, and he fell in the mud, and he was embarrassed, and they all laughed at him. I felt a little bit bad for him when that happened, because I was like, that's a little bit embarrassing, isn't it? But I respected his aspirations. He was trying to build something. He was trying to do something, and he was trying to see out as far as he could. He had this goal. He was implementing a strategy to accomplish this goal. And then later in life, as an adult, I found out that Yertle the Turtle was actually supposed to be an analogy for Hitler. So Dr. Seuss wrote a book that made me admire Hitler, apparently. I don't think that was his intent. But Hitler wasn't trying to create a tower of people that he could see further with. That would have been kind of interesting. Well, Hitler did way
Mark
worse
said,
stuff.
Dr. Seuss wrote The Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah, that's right. Grinch
Okay, then I know Dr. Seuss. I didn't know.
Well, I don't know what Dr. Seuss stuff you might be familiar with. The Grinch is probably the most famous, yeah.
Okay.
The Grinch is the only thing that I suppose I mildly liked as a kid. I think all Dr. Seuss stuff is just weird, and I was never a fan. Shall we move on to the next story, darling?
Yep. Biden bombs Syria.
Biden bombs Syria. Simple title.
The
Simple
Biden.
headline.
The Biden.
The Biden bombed Syria. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.